Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're talking about parent functions, And I love these because if you learn how to do one of these, if you learn how to do just one of these, it extrapolates out to all of your parent functions. So grab your notebook. I'm going to be giving you a bunch of notes today. Let's start by this. Here are all of our parent functions. You may need to pause the video and write these down. You are going to want to memorize these parent functions because as we go through these videos talking about translating them, it all applies to every one of these parent functions. So once you figure out how to translate one, it makes it a lot easier. You can translate a bunch of them. So this is our cheat sheet of parent functions, but let's talk about why that is the case. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are our linear functions. And remember, linear is just a fancy way of saying line. So we're going to say here are our linear functions. So our linear function is y equals x, or f of x equals x. So when we plug in -2, and so what I've done is create an xy chart here, and I'm just going to plug in -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. If I plug in -2 for x, I get -2 for y. Let me give you a brighter pencil there. -2. I get -1, I get 0, and if I plug in 1, I get 1. If I plug in 2, I get 2. Pretty straightforward there. So now what we have to do is graph this guy. And in order to graph it, we would say, okay, over -2, down 2, over -1, down 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, and you start to see that this line is taking shape. It is a good idea to use a straight edge. I probably should have done that, but make sure you do it on your notes, especially if you are not going to be going all the way across with your slope there. But that is a linear function, and that is how you graph that one. So let's talk about our next parent function. Our next one is going to be quadratic. And you may remember these from algebra 1, and this is y equals x squared. Now, let's talk about 0. If I take 0 and I plug it in for x squared, I'm going to get 0. If I do y equals and I take 1 and plug that in, 1 squared, I get 1. If I do y equals 2 squared, I'm going to get 4. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. You need to remember that when you have this negative and you're plugging it in, you got to use parentheses. So y equals quantity, or parentheses, -1 squared. Remember, that's -1 times -1, which is +1. If we do the same thing by putting in a -2 here, we would get -2 times -2, which is +4. So when we go to graph this guy, we start 0, 0. And if we go over 1, up 1, and then over here, we go over -1, up 1 as well. So you can see that it's starting to mimic on either side. We go over 2, up 4, over -2, and up 4 as well. And that is your parent function as far as quadratics go, and I cannot wait to show you how we are going to manipulate those. Stick around, we'll talk about other parent functions and how to transform them.